This is your daily market review for Monday, March 10th, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Monday, March 10th, 2025. Interesting day. Did not expect the slammer. It did expect some retests and weakness. If you go look at the Stock Traders Almanac, which we highly recommend, today is typically a bear day post, I don't know, the Monday after the first week in jobs numbers. Tomorrow and Thursday are bull days. We'll see if we can get some rally. Again, I expected, I don't know, the market not to get as smacked down as much as it did, considering the large amount of put activities that came out on Friday. Again, will the market makers let these guys win, or is it the market makers? You really don't know until it happens. But either way, near term, again, depending on what you're trading, define your risk, know what you're up to. And again, I like to set my stops as soon as I put in my trade, so I don't have to sit here and overthink it. So if you buy something and it doesn't work, you get stopped out, easy, simple, don't overthink it. If you get into something and it's working, let it ride, manage the position, and just be careful. Because again, I think the more oversold something, the more likely it can rally back quickly. Again, volatility means speed. You know, up begets big down begets big up. So be careful, be ready. We are technically oversold, so again, but doesn't mean we can't go lower. That's the hardest thing about trading, is you don't know where the bottom is until what? It happens. So again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. Love to help out. Again, if you're not sure what the rest of the week looks like, just be careful. Please, just be careful. I know a lot of folks are thinking that we have to play out certain ways. Again, with volatility up near 30, it's going to be choppy and sloppy in my opinion. If you need help, want to talk trading, want to learn how to trade, want to get better at trading, need help going over some of the resources, watch some of the recommended the video or educational videos and you're struggling, or you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, please don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. Again, posting our trades and ideas on the Twitter. It's interesting seeing some names starting to show green shoots of bottoming potential. Again, we'll go through it. Again, the leaders that were leading down seem to be bottoming. The names that are kind of following and were up the most, essentially, starting to, I don't know, I'd say pull back the hardest. But again, as I've always said, tech, I do not think leads coming up, right? In my opinion, it's going to be commodities and it's going to be materials and it's going to be hard assets. It's going to be industrials. So be careful out there. Again, if you're just sinking into tech for the long run, be careful. I don't think the mega tech is going to be it. Also, too, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to donate, hit the promote button or use the links in the description below. Again, tons of great resources on the tradingagent.com. Recommended reading. Schedule chats. You want to get some interactive broker deal. Again, I trust interactive brokers. Again, you need the Marcus account. Want to watch some real estate videos, how to invest. Let me know, I can help. So we know going into the March meeting, it's next week and it's a quad witching options expiration. As of right now, there's no cut expected, but this is the thing, right? I mean, I think the rumors are going to grow the more the market starts to melt down. So please be careful, manage your risk accordingly. Again, not to say that we can't continue down, but I think I was reading something. I haven't seen the IWM drop 7 weeks in a row ever. This week would be 7 if it could. So we'll see what happens. Bitcoin, we talked about this. If you could not get over the mid 90s, I don't know, the low 90,000s, look what happened. Slam, jam, city. Kabuya Kashao. Again, I'm not bullish or bearish on this stuff. Again, I've said this long term. I don't know if this is the answer, but you have to technically trade it. It trades. And so if it fails 90-something, it's coming back into the 70s potentially. Now, here's the thing. If you're bulls, you need to hold the 78,000. If we don't be surprised if we come back to the 72,000 very quickly. Oil, as we talked about, this area makes sense. If you go back almost like 10 years, this has been the level that matters. Again, I think we will bounce here. We have to refill the SPR. No one's talking about that. They're trying to sneak that one in under the radar, and it's happening. Natural gas holding up pretty well. Again, we like oil, gas. We like materials. We like all that fun stuff. Let's jump into it. The dollar, this one has gone oversold near term, starting to see some buying down here. We'll see what happens. Again, I personally think the dollar will have more weakness in time because, again, we're cutting jobs. Naturally, right? Government spending is going to be less. There's going to be a transition phase where I think, again, the dollar will show weakness, but ultimately I think it will rally in the long term. But we'll see. I mean, I've always talked about this, that the blow off top in the dollar could be the ultimate top. We'll see. That is a big up move, right? We talk about tops and bottoms, right? When people think of like something's going to end, it doesn't go. It usually ends with a bottle rocket up. Could that be it? TLT. We talked about buying this 90 area, filling the gap. I don't know, 120 day, whatever, all around right in here. Looks pretty good. Again, I don't know if we'll rip anywhere until maybe Wednesday with the CPI. Again, China's data came out, inflation data came out weaker. I think the rest of the world is going to be seeing deflation near term. The VIX, talked about it breaking out. Needed to, I don't know, it was very sneaky because it closed back under the 23, but look with the gap up today and the long wick. Again, I didn't really do much of anything. I had a lot of eyes on some things. I was like, man, that gap up in the VIX, it's a bear day. Do we wait for turnaround Tuesday? Might not see it. But either way, I'd like to see confirmation tomorrow, potentially going into the CPI data, if there is going to be some sort of pop. VIX, this is one that gets really interesting, right? It's not really making new highs. And we talk about how this bottoms first. Does it top first? Keep an eye on this. Again, if you're watching these recordings, please leave a comment below. I'm just curious if you remember me saying this a million times. It tops, and it bottoms first. That could be a top. We'll see what happens. SPY. Again, you don't know until after. Not surprised. Today's action. This feels very exhaustion gappy. Again, we're back into the volatility. I mean, the VAP zones. Can't say for sure. Can't say for sure this is a bottom. But again, again, when everyone's buying puts and you're going into a Fed meeting, a triple witching OPEX, I don't know what this is where when the VIX gets high, the levels don't matter as much as more as like the puking action or the blowing out stops. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody and their mom probably had stops and support around 560, 565, and it just got totally whacked out. So we'll see if there's more pain to come. QQQ, same kind of thing. Everyone had stops at the trend line. Primary trend broke it today. Filled some gaps, right? Filled some gaps. Did we expect that? I mean, you always have to think about it, right? It's always possible. Here's the gap, actually, because it closed there. Just worth a watch, right? Again, I personally don't trust tech long-term at all. But it doesn't mean that if it gets, absolutely bludgeoned, that it can't get a bounce in it, right? So just keep it on the radar. Don't go nuts. Again, I think a lot of people, they want to go crazy when they think they're seeing bottoms. Is this a bottom? Again, I think there's going to be more problems in the economy at first, but we talk about the first time you break down, the 20-day becomes support resistance at some point. I don't know how we'll get back up. I mean, maybe at some point we will get a bounce. It's just what level. Makes sense? Again, you can't expect straight line moves all the time. IWM, we talked about this 6 straight weeks, going to make it 7. Today's action, again, another, you zoom out, like support area, the VAP zone. If you do the ABC Gartley pattern, we've completed a down move. Doesn't mean we can't go lower, but that looks pretty exhaustive near term. Just keep that in mind. Okay, keep an eye on it. Not saying that we can't go lower, but it just, again, if this is a probability-based game, we're talking about probability. That's how we trade. You have to start looking for the exit if you're shorting. Now, again, if you're shorting for the long run, you have to choose what you're going to do. But me personally, again, if I'm trading, because again, shorting is a trade, not an investment. It's really hard to short for the long run unless you're betting against pieces of crap. But the overall market, you got to be careful around it. DIA back at the 200-day, worth a watch. Gold, again, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. We talk about this. Need to break over the 270s, really trust it. Same thing with gold. I need to get away from the mid-29s. We seem to be stuck here at this point. I can't be bullish. I can watch it, though. And it's not like I'm bearish, though, either, right? I'm just neutral. Same thing with the miners. I'd like to see them make new highs if they're confirming, right? If gold's going to break out, we need to see the miners making new highs. They're not, worth a watch. Again, doesn't mean they can't do it later, but just worth watching. AEM, this one chopping at the highs. This has been a beast. AG seems to be kind of stuck around the lows. Newmont, what a gift, right? I mean, I would love to see it back in the 37s. We'll see what happens here. Again, keep an eye on it. PAAS, another one that looks like it's promising to break out, but this is why you don't buy it until you get confirmation, and we haven't gotten it yet. So worth an eye. Again, that's why you watch the channel. We'll talk about it. We'll identify it. You'll be there when it happens. If you're a day late, it's not the end of the world, especially if it's a multi-week month move. Taiwan Semi retesting the lows. Again, this is where I started to see little green shoots, right? Lower volume, retesting the primary trend line, but the candle is not really that big, right? When the market's down, 3-4%, like these names could be down 6-7%. Some of them are. It's not. Like Micron down 6%, 7%, right? But here it is coming back into support potentially. Again, now if it melts right through this like hot knife through butter, be careful. Again, I do not like semis long term. I've said this. I'm on record. I've tried. I said NVIDIA is the top of the short of the year at the highs when we talked about the highs. AMD, here's another one that you would think this would be getting absolutely blasted. It's chopping around. These things have been pretty much butchered. NVIDIA, another one, hits old support. Look at this, right? 0.618. You would think this thing would be getting smoked today, and man, it's barely making new lows. Filling some gaps here, worth a watch. Again, I'm not saying necessarily that it can't bounce, but it feels like it's due to bounce. Due to bounce. Well, I'm not even saying it right. Due to bounce. Keep an eye on this one too, right? SMCI, 150-day. Intel, again, you're welcome. Talked about it. Don't trust this one. Now, if you want to play the trade again at some point, I think it's a charity buyout in the low 20s. Keep an eye on it. I don't think there's really much value there. The AVGO popped on earnings. Look what happens. Getting your gift. Retest the 200-day and channel low. Again, you can take these trades. This is what's crazy. Buy it at 180 something. Put a whatever, $2, $3 stop, right? Man, that is just a gift. 2% gift. I mean, think about it. It could rally 10, 15%. So you risk 1 to 2% to make 10, 15. That's a pretty solid trade. SMH is back at some old trend lines here. I mean, it's not like that clean of one, but I was just looking at them like, man, I need to redraw these. Keep an eye on it, though. Not to say that we can't just get crushed, but I've been trying to warn folks like, oh, semis are the future. I'm like, do you not realize they topped last summer? So you're over here claiming that they're great, but they're not leading up. I'm telling you, commodities, when money rotates out of the tech, it's going into materials, industrials. Again, we have a war, a tech war. Who wins? I don't know, but I'm betting on the guys that manufacture the bullets, the inputs. I don't want to pick who the winner is. Adobe, interesting, coming into earnings Wednesday. Keep an eye on it. This has been just kind of hard to trust. Apple, we talked about this would be a gift if it somehow could pull back. The 200-day, you got it. The gift would be a retest here, but we talked about at some point it was going down to the 200-day. We got there. We broke below it. Again, this one might be in a chop fest. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to go nuts here, but this doesn't. I would think if the market was really weak, Apple would be taking out the lows from a couple weeks ago. I'd agree. Amazon, here's another one, right? Should be just getting crushed. Okay, Doji and another Doji. Somebody's holding it up. Meta, this one we talked about, due to bounce, but this one's been on a run. This is where it gets so hard. It's like I don't necessarily want to buy certain names that I don't think have much bounce potential because it's gone from $1.20 to $7.50, $7.40. You want to buy that dip? I don't. CRM, talked about the double top. Talked about it potentially holding. Nope. This is where if you have stops, you're golden. Guggenheim, they're making the next chips, looking good. Boom. Here's where, again, if you want to play Google, you got a double bottom potentially. Again, simple freaking trade. Risk, reward. You don't have to go nuts here. You don't have to go all in, every dollar in your account. But if you want to take a stab here with a dollar stop, it makes sense. Microsoft, here's another one, right? We talk about they like weaker dollar. You're at the range lows. Do you want to trade it? You can if you'd like. NDAQ, told you guys this thing was going to get smoked. Man, 6 straight days takes out months of movement. Congrats. Again, I'd be waiting probably for some bounces here. But again, I don't think this index, exchange is the future. You're welcome. MicroStrategy, this one's been tricky. Here you go, 200-day again. Puking. Again, you would think that the market's about to dump. This thing would be making newer lows. Okay, watching 200-day. Keep an eye on it. Netflix. Again, this one's been holding up really well for years. Now that it's starting to pull back, I don't think I want to chase it, but it's probably due to bounce. Again, here you go. Roblox getting slapped around. PanW, I like PanW. I told you guys I think cybersecurity is going to be a major issue. I'd love to see the trend line. Love to see a trend line or a smash. Tesla, again, people are out there. Again, I don't want to say who's doing this, but again, you have a lot of terrorists, domestic terrorists, basically lighting Teslas on fire and going after Elon. Okay, today feels like the capitulation. That news in itself felt very like, oh God. Well, the stock is now off what? You do the math. 488 down to 222. Man, what is that? I'm just curious what that actually is. Let's do it. 489 minus 222 divided by 489. That is a 54.6% drop. Could it go lower? Absolutely. But again, it feels like the risk reward is in your favor. Insight, we talked about this is a buyout target. Hey, you like to see these floaty little guys on days like today. Congrats. HIMS identified this very clearly, said if we are going to hold and you want to trade it, you need to hold the low 30s. So far, so good. Palantir broke below 80. You have your stops? Cool. If you trade around it, cool. Now I'd be watching for the 100-day. Again, keep it on it. Baba said this, I have zero confidence in Chinese names. This gap down, again, it's a Chinese name. I'd keep it on it. Watch the 20-day. If it breaks the 20-day, it could get ugly. Coin, we had the primary trend line break today. Yikes. Again, could this be a bear trap? Only, again, and this is why the more you're up, the less you own. That's why you have to manage your positions. McDonald's, we talked about this one breaking out, last week. Okay, holding up pretty well. DKNG, another one that I have zero faith in, but all right, the market's down. This one's getting smoked, but it is oversold, 54 down to 36. Airbnb, this one gapped up on earnings, giving it all back, right? Costco, keep it on this one, right? We talked about this one being the head of a Head and Shoulders. Here you go. Hits the primary trend line. Let me clean. I would personally think that it should bounce here. How much? I don't know. Here's post earnings. Keep an eye on it, right? Because this thing has been a leader. Starbucks, I missed this one. Talked about shorting the absolute shiznit out of it up here. Sometimes you just got to let it run. There's not much I can do here. I don't want to chase this action, but I told you guys this would get crushed. FedEx, talked about references. You need to hold here again if you want to trade this name. This is a good one. It had an ex-div today. Again, see what happens here around the 240s. Caterpillar, there's another one we identified. We talked about some of the tariff names, oversold, bouncing. Seem to be holding up pretty well. Keep an eye on this. I don't know why you wouldn't continue to rally at some point. Maybe you need to test, 338, maybe a little head and shoulders action, or just chop. Keep an eye on it. Deere, it's been on fire. On fire. Letting it pull back. Nucor, another one we like, right? Keep an eye on it. I like commodities, and this is what we've been asking for. Just beat the shit out of them, please. Beat the crap out of them. Arrow, again, some names getting beaten more than others. Again, the ones luckily we own aren't doing so bad, but again, this is part of the game. X, again, I think they'll get bought out at some point. Vale, here's another one we talked about. That's more down because it's dividend yield, 37 cents. Yeah, it was down 29%. So it's actually up for the day. Not bad. Holding the 50-day worth of watch. Arrow, again, I like this one a lot. I think this one, Junior Copper, looks sexy. CCJ, again, watch the 11s. CCJ, watch the 40s. CF, again, we talked about these ag names have been beaten. On days like today, look, they're not even making new lows. They're just dojiing. Somebody's buying. Mosaic, same kind of thing. Seems to be bottoming. NTR, same kind of thing, right? Keep an eye on it. Oh, good old AA Aeron. Aluminum. Man, I've got a lot of these names teed up in my in my desire list. We'll see what happens here. Again, I'm not going to step in front of these. The only ones I'm really genuinely curious or confident is the oil and gas names because of SPR. Near term, it's a little tough. XLF, talked about it today, was going to probably go after this trend line. Got it, closed right above it. Filled the gap. Again, I had JP Morgan puts, told you guys I'd probably make money at some point, the 250s. Congratulations. Yeah, I've got June. I took some off today. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm not going to get greedy here. This has been 285 down to 220, 228. Again, I'm not going to get greedy here. I expect it to bounce at some point. If it doesn't, oh well, I've got half of my position. Morgan Stanley, another name that's keep an eye on it. Bank of America, right? Near term, they look pretty oversold. I'm not going to say they can't bounce, but they should technically. Here you go, Goldman back to the 200-day. Makes sense. KRE, we talked about this one breaking. Just not leading. Made lower highs when the market was up at the highs. Now you're making new lows. Now you have a little bit of an ABC pattern, Gartley pattern, pretty close to filling. I would be watching the gap. Don't please mind the gap. I don't know, around 54s. You see that? Copper names, other names, just rallying through them. SEO, we talked about these, right? They look good. FCX, they look good, right? Back near the lows. Maybe that one's not as good. But XBI, talked about how risk on this has to be. It seems to be holding up. Junior Bio should be getting slammed. They're not. The Jets, Benny and the Jets. We talked about the chop top here. Man, you got back to the 200 day. Again, if you short up in the 25, 26 area, congrats. Now, you're probably a little oversold due to bounce. Doesn't mean it can't go lower, just the risk reward. Here we go. Housing. Housing should be getting crushed. It's not. I'm telling you, it's priced in some big moves. I'm telling you, you got to potentially let this breathe for a little bit. It might be a week, 2, 3, I don't know, but there might be some counter moves. Solar seems to be bouncing. Sedge. Again, I'm not really a fan of either of these ENPH, but they do. I like First Solar. If you're going to trade this, we talked about this 130 level. Makes sense, right? Let's end it with oil and gas. Because again, I like oil and gas. I think we're refilling the SPR sneakily behind the scenes. I think we'll be holding the 60 level. Keep an eye on it. UNG's been holding up. Again, natural gas in general, right? We like natural gas long term. I pray for a pullback, but I'm not getting it. KLD, again, if you short in the 80s, damn, great trade. Do what you got to do. XOP on a day where the market's down 3-4%, it is flat. Again, we're liking this stuff a lot. Not to say that we can't retest any of these 120s, but it's looking pretty damn good. If you bought Gush around 2180, where I think we first started buying it, looking pretty damn good. Looking pretty good. So keep an eye on this stuff. CVE, again, I like this stuff down here. It seems to be getting like punished, and look what happens. The volume is increasing at the lows. Keep an eye on it. Valero, right? Chopping around, holding up. I mean, you would think these names would be making new lows. NPC, same kind of thing, not doing it, right? Chopping around. BP, again, we identified that you could buy this around 30 and change. Nice. Looks like it's bouncing. ExxonMobil, when the market's getting crushed, up 2.5%. Yeah, right? Oil and gas seems to be holding up. Occidental, another one we identified in the 44 area. Congratulations. Holding up pretty damn well. Let's end it with EQT and Flex LNG. Again, EQT, again, natural gas name, been pretty strong. If you zoom out, you see this is a big consolidation pattern. I like this name on pullbacks. Keep an eye on it. Last but not least, Flex LNG. Watch this. Again, I think we will be a natural gas exporter. So again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. I know this is hard, but this is what makes, again, steel, like they say, pressure makes diamonds. You learn how to trade through this and things look easy. And if you don't want to trade through this, then you have to learn how to get out of the market, manage your positions or hedge them and just watch and go, okay, I'm okay with not making every single dollar to the upside, knowing when the risk reward is not in my favor, knowing that sometimes you're going to get a five. Think about the market. You get at least 5 to 10% pullbacks every year within an uptrend if you're in an uptrend market. And then every couple of years, you're going to get a 20-25% pullback. And then if you get a recession, you're going to get a 50-60. So again, you have to have in your mind the probability base of the year. That's why you watch the Stock Trader's Almanac. You typically get weakness. How many times did I say in January, do not be fooled by end of February weakness, more like mid to end of February. And again, that's a repeating pattern. Depends on how deep. Sometimes it's just 2 to 3%. Sometimes it's like this, or it's 12, 15, who knows percentage. So again, do yourself a favor, study, become a student of the game. Don't sit here and just follow a bunch of idiots. People go, who do you follow? Nobody. I follow the charts. People are like, oh, you don't talk to people about this? No, I don't talk to anyone about the market. I want to figure out the evidence for myself. I want to follow the people in my Discord room posting ideas and thoughts. That's all I really need. I don't need to sit here and go, well, I got to watch 17 other guys' ideas. No, of course not. No. Again, let the evidence speak for itself. Learn to read it yourself. Have a wonderful evening. Talk to you guys soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.